Everyone makes mistakes in squad from time to time. At the end of the day, we're only human. But I bet you wouldn't recognize them until I pointed them out. And that is why we're here. My name's Honcho, and welcome to my 6 biggest mistakes everyone makes in squad. Yes, you heard me correctly. Everyone makes mistakes in squad, even yours truly.
No, he flipped. I made fun of him for that earlier.
No, I don't know how I'm going to get this one back. The fact of the matter is, some mistakes are more obvious than others. And sometimes it's those not so obvious ones that have a bigger effect on your game and gameplay than others. No, I'm not talking about one-manning a tank or driving off the map. These are all things I can guarantee that you'll go, oh yeah, I do that. Very quickly, don't forget hit that subscribe button for more squad guides, updates and gameplay, and for those interested, we now have memberships available on the channel. Okay, so the first big mistake we will cover revolves around radios. Whether you are setting up an attacking or defending fob, once you have placed your radio down, make sure someone drives that logi a good 400-500 meters away, preferably towards your main in case someone wants to use it later. But the main point here is, leaving your logistics truck by your radio or hab is the biggest giveaway and will attract the greenest of blueberries over to check out what's by it. See, now that I've mentioned it, you're already thinking of the times you have found an enemy radio or hab because you saw that logi. Urban maps, desert, forest, the lot. If someone sees a logi, they're coming over for a sneaky peek. So when you're setting up, make sure to ditch that logi out of the way. The next mistake I will point out here can be a little bit situational, but should be something to always at least try to achieve. Once you have placed your radio, try to get your hab as far from that radio as possible. Yes, I know you can block the radio in with your hab if it's in a building, but if your hab is nowhere near the radio, it generally makes finding that radio 10 times harder. Also, the other main advantage of building it away from the radio is you are cutting down the distance you and everyone else in your team has to run from hab to objective. Naturally, you do want to try and keep it as secluded as possible, as this will protect it from airstrikes and artillery. But when the enemy team is all over your hab, if the radio is nowhere near, they will more than likely just disable your hab by digging it down a stage and then abandon looking for the radio altogether. This means you have a very high chance of recovering your hab and putting it back into action, and saving 20 tickets in the process. And my final point to do with radios, habs and rallies is do not engage the enemy from your hab or rally point. All you're going to do is attract more attention to yourself and the enemy will literally start running towards you. Naturally, if you're by your hab or rally and someone is shooting at you, yeah, shoot back. But time and time again, I have seen rallies and habs given away because of people firing at the enemy right next to their spawn point. A little bit of trigger discipline can go a very long way. Oh, and here's a tip for free. If your radio has already been dug down once or twice and you've still managed to save it, dig it down yourself and go and place a new one. This will confuse the enemy players who knew where the radio was and will save your team 20 tickets in the process. Okay, so loosely connected with radios, this one is generally aimed at you heli pilots, but it's still worth everyone knowing on a wider level. Now look, I know you are the backbone of all logistical operations, but if you've seen an attacking hab that's just been set up by a small squad with a logi truck, don't go to it and resupply them. Helicopters inadvertently give away radio locations because as soon as you are seen hovering or settling down, 90% of people know exactly what's going on. A good alternative to do in this situation is to take a wide berth of that radio and objective and go do a dummy land or a hover on the opposite side of the objective. Even if you've got no one on board, the same method by the enemy team is applied by seeing you, but instead of the enemy team shifting towards your team's hab location, they're going to shift to the other side, and generally a handful will even leave the objective to come looking to see where you are hovering or landed, because as far as they're aware, you've just set up a new hab and they're coming to look for you. So effectively, you've helped weaken the defensive line for your guys on the ground to push through. This dummy tactic is quite often slept on, but it's very effective when done right. By all means though, if someone asks you to resupply the radio, go for it. Now this is something that will help out everyone on your team from infantry to armoured squads. Too often, people will hear an enemy vehicle and it just goes completely ignored. Vehicles like tanks and infantry fighting vehicles are extremely loud, but will more often than not try to find sneaky ways round into the backs of your team to try and flank your armor. If you have heard them, it is extremely important that you mark that as soon as you can and call it out. Ask for a fire team lead if one is available and place the marks yourself. The mark doesn't have to be 100% accurate. Even just placing it down by where you think you hear it is enough to indicate to your team that there's something in the area, so your armor or anti-armor squads know where to look. If you're a squad leader, once you've marked the vehicle, right-click and place down a red directional arrow as well to indicate the direction the vehicle has taken off in. It's something so simple but can have a huge influence on your team. The same goes for if infantry is camping inside of one of your habs. There's nothing worse than spawning on a hab only to find some mad jacked up lad with a 240 Bravo inside hosing everyone down as they spawn. Just place some infantry markers around it and people will know that there's a threat nearby. Now this last one is a biggie and really has an effect on your team during games of Random Advanced and Secure and Advanced and Secure. If you are the only squad on the defensive point, stay there. Don't wander off towards the attacking objective. Now this may sound daft, but honestly 80% of the games played, this always happens. In fact, it can get even worse. There are occasions where the attacking squad captures the next objective and before a hab has even been set up, they're already walking away from the objective to the next attacking point, leaving the cap wide open to be retaken by the enemy. It makes much more sense to do what is called leapfrogging. Basically, the attacking squad now becomes the defensive squad, and the defensive squad digs down, moves up to become the new attacking squad. I don't get why people are so against being the defensive squad. You get way more action as it comes to you, and you're generally at an advantage as well, as you are the ones who are dug in and set up. Leaving the defense unmanned leaves your team wide open to being completely rolled. And remember, every cap point taken from a team is an extra 60 tickets. I do have a video in the making about the art of defense, so keep your eyes out for that in the not so distant future. Okay, those are the big 6. But because I'm a nice guy, here's a handful of smaller mistakes people make that has a bigger impact on themselves than the team. Things such as bandaging too soon after being shot. You'd be surprised as to how long you can survive with a bleed for. Next time, get your friend to shoot you and just wait out for the bleeding. 9 out of 10 times you can finish the small firefight you're in or find somewhere safe to hide and then bandage. Another silly one is skylining. This is when you are running on top of a hill with only the sky as your backdrop. It makes you stand out massively and a vehicle or MG is going to hose you down. Next time, run one side of the peak or the other. And here's another freebie. If you want to change class or kit, do it from the ammo crate as opposed to the menu. This is because it costs less ammo to do so with a fully stocked kit. In fact, in some cases it can actually refund ammo back to the radio. Granted, if you're wanting to quickly snag the hat or sniper kit, fair enough, but always try to do it in front of the ammo crate. You'll save your team a boatload of ammo. And finally, if you're trying to pot shot at someone, switch your gun from auto to semi. There's a slight reduction in recoil and makes tap firing much easier. So, let's be honest then, how many of these mistakes are you guilty of? If you have any other tips or mistakes that people make, feel free to put them in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video or found it helpful, here's 2 more videos that'll be right up your street. Thank you all for watching, take care, and I'll catch you in the next video.